guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Sarah, or Full Criminal, whichever you prefer, and today we're taking a short trip down memory lane once again with three weird things that have happened in the EGL community. These are three things that I really took interest in personally and remember learning about before this video was ever even thought of. So these are things that are kind of notorious in the community if you've been in it for a while. So yeah. First, we're gonna look at the 14 right sleeves incident. If you know, you know. It's January of 2014. Bodyline has released their 2014 Lucky Pack, and people bought the hell out of them. One person, Donberry Tunberry, I believe that's her username, that's what the URL says, opened theirs, excited to see what was inside the package. To every Lolita's shock, there were 3 left sleeves and 14 right sleeves, all unattached. After going through their package, they realized that there was no blouse, no cut-sew, or OP that these belonged to. They were just 14, in total 17, unattached sleeves. Just completely unattached to anything. They were just random sleeves thrown in the package. It's not even an even number of sleeves either. There's 3 for the left side, and then fuck you, there's 14 for the right side. Why would you give someone 17 sleeves? That's... Anyways, OP didn't really seem to get upset with them or anything, just posted about it to their Tumblr. Bodyline ended up reaching out and refunding some of their orders since it was so outrageously horrendous. Rare Bodyline dub? Rare dub? Next, we're talking about the ironing board. You know the ironing board. And the lesser known tablecloth and accessories. An anonymous user on the 4chan board CGL wrote, "Due to some unusual circumstances, I'm currently living in a partially renovated house with my dad and his fiance. She makes all her own clothes and will usually find a practical use for something rather than throw it out, i.e. recycling old bottles and jars to pot plants. I had a Baby the Star Shine Bright strawberry and cherry ruffle jumper skirt that I didn't wear anymore, so I was planning to sell it. From memory, it costs about $400. I put it out in the main room next to a pile of clothes I planned to donate to Good Sammy's. Then I went away for a week to visit my grandparents. When I came back, I noticed the piles of clothes have disappeared. Cool, my dad and or his fiance had donated them for me. But wait, where was the jumper skirt? It was then that I saw the site portrayed in Uploaded. My dress had been cut up to make an ironing board, cover, and tablecloth. I don't know where the rest of the material is. In her efforts to pretty up the concretey wasteland of a house, she had unknowingly destroyed an expensive brand dress. Literally the only thing I could do in that moment was stare blankly. I can't even be mad at her, she has no idea. So now I have a Baby the Starshine Bright ironing board and tablecloth. Every Lolita on the internet at that time with the gift of sight was glued to this story. A baby ironing board? One person called bullshit, and another anon said, "Did Strawberry and Cherry ever get a replica though?" And upon closer inspection of the pattern, it was confirmed to be actual Baby the Starshine Bright fabric and not a dupe. So it appears that this person's dad's wife did cut up an actual brand dress for, excuse my French here, a fucking ironing board and tablecloth. OP took this really well, however, not how I would have reacted in the moment at all, if I'm honest. So props to them for that. People were also really divided on whether it was OP's fault or not because they left it next to the donations. Personally, I'm kind of in the middle, fence sitter response, I know, but they did leave it near the donations, but at the same time, brand dresses look expensive. They feel expensive. So while I feel like OP is partially to blame, I also feel like their dad's wife should have confirmed if it was a donation upon wanting to cut it up. There was a lot of questions regarding the wife to pay OP back and how they handled the situation after it happened, what size ironing board it was, among other things, so OP was kind enough to come back and write a response. Answers to some questions. I ain't that bad, nor would I ever expect her to pay me back. She's the nicest woman ever and would have meant well. I was planning to sell it anyways, so it's only a monetary loss for me. Oh yes, it absolutely was around $400 for me, maybe $350. Consider customs and taxes. Fiance has literally no idea what Lolita is and wouldn't know its value. It's totally my responsibility that it happened. It's a standard size ironing board. I don't know about y'all, but I absolutely would have made her pay me back. Like, maybe that's the broke bitch in me, but dude, if it was worth as much as they're saying, which I'm not super familiar with this release, so I'm unsure if it really was worth that much, I would have been very upset. More questions, and then OP posted this photo with another update. Update! I queried the whereabouts of the remaining material and she showed me. She said my dad told her I was, quote, throwing them out, so she thought it was fine to cut up. My fault anyway, didn't separate the sell from the donate pile. However, there were a few other brand dresses I was planning to sell. I assumed they had been donated with the rest of my clothes as they were nowhere to be found. I was a little sad about that. They were more valuable, Angelic Pretty, Baby the Starshine Bright, and Metamorphose dresses, but oh well. Then I looked in her material bag and found they had also been cut up. When Dad said I was throwing them out, he did not state a plural by accident. And then these. One user pleaded with them to tell their dad's wife, understandably so, saying, "It's better for you and for her if you just tell her." There were no more updates after this, but I think it did later come out as being fake as far as I know. As one person put it, this was the Great Brand Massacre of 2016. Lastly, we're talking about something that I actually really love and adore. Handmade Lolita. What about Handmade Lolita? Well, you see, back in the day, Simplicity released a few pattern sets. I'm gonna be real, I don't actually know what they're called, and I honestly don't really care. Sue me. But I'm talking about 3 sets of Lolita patterns. These include 8443, which is some accessories, 8444, which is 2 dresses among a few other things, and 9761, which also features 2 dresses and some blouses and underskirts. These are some decent patterns for intermediate seamstresses who sew Lolita, but there was an issue with them. There used to be an alternative fashion convention called RuffleCon that ran between the years of 2014 and 2017, and one of their sponsors was Simplicity. The convention had multiple fashions present, and one of them was EGL, so obviously there were some EGL indie brands there. Well, Simplicity had a booth with sale items and attendance per the norm. One of these booth attendants ended up buying a bear ear bonnet from Miss Candy Holic and a cat ear bonnet from, I don't know how to pronounce this, Verge Vampire. It's up on screen if you're curious about what I'm trying to say. 2 small brands. Keep in mind they're small brands. The con ended, everyone moved on with their lives, and boom! Simplicity drops 8443 and 8444, which include bear ear and cat ear bonnets identical to those purchased at RuffleCon. It's believed that Simplicity bought the 2 bonnets at RuffleCon with the sole purpose of deconstructing them, making them into patterns, and selling them. This didn't fly with the EGL community, and so they were exiled as well as being removed as a sponsor for RuffleCon. This was one of the many contributing factors to RuffleCon no longer being around, current day 2025, unfortunately. My thought on this is, how many of those patterns were actually deconstructed from indie brands and EGL brands like Angelic Pretty and Baby the Starshine Bright? How many of those were actually just pieces taken from those brands and made into patterns without giving payment to the other brands? You know what I'm saying? Like, how many... You know what I'm saying. Anyways, that's all I wanted to talk about for today. This is just some stuff that really interested me. I've known about all this stuff for like quite a while now. Sorry if you see me fidgeting with my ring. I know it's kind of late to say that, but I'm just like, it's kind of uncomfy. I don't really have like too many opinions on a lot of this stuff. It's just stuff that I find interesting and I want to share. But I would love to hear your opinions on everything that I just talked about. Feel free to leave that down in the comments. I would love to read it. And thank you guys so much for watching. This is Sarah, or Grilled Criminal, whichever you prefer, and have a good day.